Hey guys, back at it with another review. Let's just jump into it. Already see the Derek ban coming out. I guess a lot of teams do not like dealing with the Son of Derek combo. And no surprise that we see strong solo lane bans coming out of G2. Even banning out the Silas. This is more along the lines of how I think Red side should ban. It's pretty interesting that they give up Akali though. I probably maybe would have thought about giving up the Silas over that, but it's okay if not. This is a big problem. I expect to see IG instantly pick Rek'Sai here. The Tahm Kench, good against Akali. It is a lot harder to play Akali into Tahm Kench. And we don't see the Rek'Sai pick. We don't see the Rek'Sai pickup, so I expect to see a Rek'Sai ban coming out from G2. And we get the Neeko. Could be top, could be mid. It's a strong flex pick. We see the Kennen ban come out, as Rookie can also take the Akali. I assume the Neeko might have a good matchup into Akali, which is why they opt for this matchup. Either way, it allows strong 1-3-1. It is a little problematic going. Okay, so when they pick the Tahm Kench, they could pretty much say, hey, we could pick this without any kind of vulnerability. They know that they'll get out of the lane unscathed, and it's a good combo. Xayah, pretty strong in the late game, and Rakan obviously gives a lot of teams much needed engage that you can't really find at the moment due to the solo laners generally being 1-3-1 players. So you would just want that more, I suppose. They ban out the Syndra, which is a rookie favorite. So would be surprised to not see Rek'Sai come out at all. Although it's not the best into their comp, so maybe they think that they want something else. Maybe they're trying to bait IG into a Rek'Sai pick. So they do go Lee Sin. Lee Sin's a lot better versus this comp. So even though they're trying to bait them into going Rek'Sai, it doesn't really work. And you could see that reflected in the bans that they don't care. Maybe Ning doesn't play Rek'Sai that well. I know he was criticized for his champ pool in the past. But that's how this draft kind of panned out. We see the Zoe pick, which gives jungle mid a lot of priority. And we see Vayne, which is okay. Um, So basically, you see scaling versus the early game. This is going to be a hard game for G2 because the mid jungle synergy is so strong, and then you also have the Akali on the top side, which they can easily impact by roaming up there. The Vayne pretty much gives a Zyrakan a free lane. For sure. Let's skip through this. I don't really know what's going on here. Okay, here we go. Okay. So, I don't know what this is. Maybe they forgot to trade or something? I don't know. I guess not. Their remake, possibly. But, this is problematic for G2. Because you're pretty much going to give Akali more or less a free lane. Now, you might kind of say, but wait. Doesn't range beat melee early? Yes, that's true, but I expect to see Lee Sin just like sitting top or sitting mid and then having the Zoe roam top, which means that they aren't going to be able to use the Vayne properly. It's also the same problem here. This is also a free lane, so they're going to win. So basically they have 3 losing lanes from G2, which is scaling, but this should have been a decent matchup into this, but I don't know why they took it bot. That being said, I expect you camp Vlad, you let it leak into top, the Vayne never gets rolling, you just group up, and then you win. So that's kind of where this game should go, and you obviously give all the side lane farm to Akali, because he is absolutely... They have no way to really deal with him outside of Tahm Kench. Standard 5-point here. Expect the lead to solo either of his buffs. It seems like G2 doesn't have a huge priority about getting pixel wards. So that's kind of that. The Zoe comes in from this angle in order to maybe hit a Q, I would guess. That's a very hard gank to get off because, well, one, it was warded, and okay, so basically you see what is coming out from IG is they say, hey, their top lane pick is super dumb. They know that, they're like, hey, we know where he's going to have pressure here. I guess when the Zoe looped around here, he just warded this. So he's like, I'm going to get pushed in. I'm going to let him have priority. I'm going to not die early. Let this pick get out of control. We're just going to play standard and, like, not die, essentially. So what's happening here is the Lee Sin's basically saying, hey, we don't really care that, like, we're not going to camp this lane. We're going to let him farm up as much as he can and know that Vayne doesn't really scale. Like, she doesn't scale until after her first item, so we have time to get everything going. So we're just going to vertical here, and then we're going to hit the Vlad is possibly what's going on. I don't expect bot to get too much pressure because of how yeah, I'm not sure. I guess they're trying to contest, but their mid had no priority at all. So this is a pretty big mistake. I guess they had a wrong read on the map is what happened. Is I think G2 is like, oh, they're going to want to hit the Vayne early. And then IG was just kind of like, nah. So what happened is he was like, oh, we're going to try to split because we don't really care about this. But then IG was kind of like, oh, Akali can farm on the tower anyways because Vayne's not that, like, not that oppressive early on. And what happens is basically, I mean, obviously it is oppressive because of the CS difference. But the problem is that They pretty much just called out the bluff and said, "Hey, we're not gonna play towards this vayne. We're gonna lose the counter ganks. We're gonna lose like some like situations here. So let's just not deal with it at all and go for let's go for this jungle matchup," which is partially correct because they should be focusing mid more than top, in my opinion. I think you focus mid and then let mid leak in to the other lanes when you do have that Zoe pick. And theshy just showing he's world class and why, just completely pushing the vayne out of the lane. As I say that, he dies, but I don't think he should be pushing the vayne out of the lane in this matchup, even though he's down CS. I mean, the CS numbers, they matter a little bit, but you're supposed to be down X amount of CS, and once he hits 6, he can actually deal with him a lot better. Or not deal with him a lot better, but he actually has kill pressure onto him. Oh, and a huge disaster here for IG. Let's scroll this back a little bit. It looks like it could be good, but that tower shot right there, and then see missed Q, is that what happens? The missed Q from Ning. Yeah, so his Q went onto this. Otherwise, this would actually work, but as played, it does not work. I can't tell if he just didn't use Q or if he missed it. Because this is the spot, right? Let's slow this down. Oh, so he doesn't even throw Q. And then he doesn't get a good angle for Q here. So if this works and he doesn't die, it's actually good because he could just like deny this CS and then go and deny this guy from locking up. But as played, not possible. Fairly interesting there. So that's pretty big, but the problem is the vayne got no participation on that. Could have maybe got XP, I'm not sure. We actually just see IG bullying him off this pick. We see Rookie slightly winning this lane, which is expected. So it's actually looking pretty good for G2 at this point in the game. Definitely possible to win. They're playing here completely for the counter gank because they know that this lane should be hit. This guy walks up because he thinks Jarvan's behind him, and they get the kill. Which is really bad for the vayne because now you are 0-1 equals CS in a lane where you've gotten all the jungle pressure. It doesn't really matter that you're 0-2 here, and it doesn't really matter that Jarvan's ahead because he's not going to be the one splitting. So this is pretty rough situation for the vayne. If he had gotten like 2 of those kills that they got, then this is a lot different, and the vayne is much further ahead. But until she gets her Bork, she's not really useful. Even after that, if the Akali already has 1 item, she's still not going to be useful. So that's kind of the situation. Also, you're playing against an Akali, so you can't really auto-attack her as long as her Shroud is up, and the Akali's only going to auto-attack with the Shroud. I'm surprised their bot lane's doing as well as they are. I think it's fairly impressive. The G2 bot lane, that is. The IG one is expected to, like, just farm it up. Oh, wow. Find more of a chunk, loses his flash. The Vayne also went Hex Drinker, so it's going to be even harder for him to actually be relevant this game. He's a long way off of being relevant. I feel like Yankos has a pretty good idea of what he should be doing. It's just... he's been jungling fairly well. It's just been like unfortunate circumstances. G2 trying to make a play. Their bot lane was based. They're again trying to hit this Vayne pick. Yeah, let's see what happens here. Lane reset, knows the wave is going to push to him. Sits in this bush, looking for the Vayne. Doesn't find it, just TPs. So this TP is super good for IG because the wave isn't touched, so the wave is naturally going to push into him, which means the Vayne is going to lose CS by doing this. So he gets a kill. They pick up the Tom Kench. I don't know how this happens. Let's see. Oh, he just gets caught out here. Walking back, I guess. I don't know. And then... so he uses flash and exhaust. So they lose a lot there. So pretty good by IG. Especially because they're leveraging the top lane as well. Wow. How's he die here? He just has Q up still. That's pretty good, I would say. They're forcing a lot on the rookie. It looks like G2 is being a little impatient. Similar to the game they had versus SKT, they kind of know, like, hey, it's kind of weird because they have the Vlad, so they have the scaling, so they don't necessarily have to play like this. But the problem is their Vayne and Nico bot kind of get in the way. And Cap just suicides. Trying to get a dive off here. He doesn't have to use R. He doesn't even have R. So misjudgment of damage there. They get some mid damage, which is fairly nice. I don't even see where they took the Herald. How'd they get it? He was soloing it here. So they get it and they just hold it forever, which is kind of interesting from G2 that they do that so often. Because they did it in the last game too against SKT. I definitely consider that somewhat of a mistake. Or like maybe they have to rethink how they want to use it. Maybe they value like the full turret more than the plates. I think that's kind of incorrect, maybe. Oh my goodness. I think they get a three-man kick there. Yeah, they get the kick into the recon, which is like, you're gonna win a lot of situations when you get that combo off. Why is G2 fighting here? Vlad's not here. It's 4v4. I guess the Jarvan is just like, I can get a big ult here. But I don't think you win the situation. Especially when you're going Cinder Hulk Jarvan. It's not like so big to get him here. You should expect to get turned on. There's no completed items for you. It just makes no sense. Just look at the item builds compared. Like, just compare the item builds here and you just see, like, nothing's completed for you. You can't fight there if you're G2. Like, the item builds over here are good. Tiamat, I don't know about that one, but they start their 4-1. They are giving all the... Well, he kind of has to go down there because no one can correct that lane properly besides him. And, wow. They pick up a bunch. Trade 1 for 1, though. Trade 2 for 1. Okay, that looked good for G2. But they're just too far behind, I guess. They still don't have completed items, from what I know. Yeah, they don't. It's hard to fight like this. Tom Kench has his warding item. But Nico doesn't have completed items outside of... Yeah, you're seeing why this pick doesn't really work. This isn't anything like a I mean, there are definitely some things that were misexecuted, but this is definitely just draft problem. The 2 games that I reviewed, the drafts have just been like kind of one-sided. IG look good though. They're bouncing, the way they bounce their lanes and like all the small stuff looks pretty good. Almost kill Vlad. This is gonna... I don't know what this is gonna do really. They're 1-3-1ing with the Zoe, which is really interesting. I mean, I guess he has to be up here to... He has to be up here, basically. Ah, he's dead. Trade. Okay, what should happen here is since they commit so much resources in the bottom, they should rotate to top. Which they do. Or they're just resetting. I think they could have got this top tower for free, personally. But they decide the reset's more important. Which there isn't really a reason to greed for that tower, specifically. This tower down here doesn't matter at all. Okay, so I guess what's happening is, instead of going for this tower and greeting, they're saying, hey, drag's up, let's play for this drag. Because once you get this drag, Baron gets enabled a lot more, and you take more towers, just in general. So, that's what I would expect. They're just checking the Baron here, making sure. Take a minute, now they should fall back to drag. I guess they want to keep the pressure up on these items, because the Vayne is basically not a champion. The Vlad isn't spiked yet. The Jarvan is away from his gargoyles. So I guess they just want to keep the setup going and let the Lee solo the drag, which is fine. Now Baron is a big contest thing. It's sorry, the Baron is very contested now because of the mountain drag. So IG can actually do it fairly fast. They're all grouped up here as well. I like the group when the game is so lopsided. For sure. Like you just want to group as the Vayne, can't do anything. That's pretty nice. Full reset here. And maybe Baron. We just see that there's not enough damage from G2 as they get 2 kills, of course. Or 3, I should say. That was a really good play by G2 to try to get back into this game. The problem is that their waves aren't in a spot for anything to happen. They need to take the fight because they need the gold, but it's just not exactly helps them. It doesn't exactly help them get gold back on the map. And then you also see Rookie and theshy just kind of 1v2ing. They saw him use the smite, so they're just going in on the Baron. They also know they have the vision for this. It's already gone, so this game should be over. Unless G2 somehow gets a miracle fight, which they shouldn't be able to, just based off of team strength. I think we'll see that this Vayne still doesn't have her Bork. You absolutely... Well, she barely has it, but it's not enough at this point. Really strange draft from G2. IG is doing some stuff that is really interesting. I like watching them play. Some stuff that maybe I haven't thought about too much. Like certain reset timings and just not playing towards certain objectives. But it also could be more stylistic choices. Than anything else. It's really weird that they banned a Kali when they have no answer for it. But good game from IG. A little bit long, for sure. Definitely could have been cleaner. You see this game against the G2 game, where G2 kind of precisely moved around the map and got everything they wanted. IG is kind of more like a whirlwind. They just kind of bulldoze you over. And they take a lot of fights and win. It's not as quite set up, and it's a lot more fighting where they think there should be fighting, which it's not like they aren't playing for objectives, right? It's not like they're not playing for vision, playing for space, playing for all this kind of stuff. And it does make sense for them to group up and want to monkey fight a lot more when there's a Vayne on the other team and when there's a Vlad on the other team, because they need to get ahead, they need to snowball. They don't necessarily want to like give them room to farm. So it could be a fight window thing where they're just like, hey, this Vayne isn't a champion. It's basically 4v5, let's just group up and fight, regardless of the results. Hey, we're playing for vision on their top side jungle. It's not like they can really contest us. Even if we don't have perfect vision, we're just going to take the fights. Which is kind of what happened, and I thought they played fairly well. To be honest, it's just a different... It's a much more aggressive style than I'm used to seeing, um, for sure. Not that it was a bad style. Obviously, they played well. It just took 30 kills to end the game, which it probably could have taken like 20. And 14 deaths isn't great, but they got a lot off of their deaths and they didn't give a lot of space up outside of the mid tower and the bot tower, which were complete non-factors at the time. I mean, the mid tower was more of a factor, but not as much. And then G2 just doesn't really have a win condition, so it's hard for them to actually win. But that's it for this VOD review. I'll see you guys next time.